Hi, and welcome back to the show, and thank you for staying with us. I'm Roshan, and this is Jay Walia, by the way.
Indeed, and for staying with us, you'll be duly rewarded indeed, because, as you may know here on Vbuzz, we strongly believe in supporting the local arts. Well, that doesn't just extend to the performing arts, but to all forms of art, including our local artisans. Right now, we're gearing up to speak to T.A.C, the founder of the Artsy Craftsy, Malaysia's first creative lifestyle blogazine. It's a blog and a magazine put together. What started off as a personal blog has grown into an online media and commerce platform for artisans and art lovers alike. From tips and tricks to becoming your own creative boss to creating your own DIY crafts, the Artsy Craftsy has everything an art enthusiast needs, and we are so excited to be speaking to the woman behind it all. Welcome to Vbuzz, T.A.C.
Thank you. Okay, Sharon, we got to start from the very beginning. How did this love affair for you and the creative arts begin? Were you that little kid that went around tearing up pieces of paper and then just making an entire, art thingy by itself?
Yes and no. It's actually a very interesting journey, because when I look back, it's been so many years already. I had a love for the arts since I was a kid, and I think it started from my family. Because my mom was pretty crafty herself, and my grandfather apparently was one of the first few employees on the Royal Prize Malaysia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so according to my mom, she said that it's in the family, it's in the blood.
Yeah.
So if you look at my aunt, my cousins, my sister, everybody else, they're all very artistic. So that was how probably it started. I was very influenced by them, and I practically live and breathe art. I'm very passionate about it. And then throughout my life, I realized that there was a point in my life I stopped being artistic. I think it's very normal for adults, when they grow up, they start working and they forget about everything else. So then I realized that something was very missing in my life, and then I started to reconnect back with it. It was a part of me inside, actually. So when I reconnected, everything fell into place and everything makes sense. And that was how the blog started.
There was just no stopping you at all once you reconnected to it. But were you formally trained in art, though?
Surprisingly, no.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to study art, but I ended up in advertising. I did mass communications, so I graduated in advertising.
Wow.
And I became a copywriter after that.
So it's still in the creative line of
work?
Still
in the creative line, yes. Funny part is, I wanted to study in the One Academy, but there was no budget for it, but I ended up working at the One Academy.
Oh, wow. Okay, all right. So when there's a will, there's a way, indeed.
Yes.
It's always creating your own path to success.
Yes, that's right.
But if I could ask you this question, do you remember the very first thing you created in terms of art, be it a painting or just creating a little statue? Could you just remember that? Or
yes,
you do?
Very clearly, yeah.
And what was it?
It was, I remember very clearly, I created my own, because my mom was always teaching me how to sew, and a little bit here and there. So I created this plush doll, my own plush doll. It was like a very small Raggedy Ann, my version. And I didn't know how to sew the buttons and all that, but I mean the eyes and the mouth, but I took a ball pen and started drawing. And then as a kid, I also loved Disney cartoons, so I drew a lot of it as well. I carried like my sketchbook everywhere. And there was this particular time, I think that was a breakthrough because my mom spotted it. I was about 8 or 9 years old. I was going through my mom's Vogue fashion magazines. I love fashion magazines. And then I started drawing my own little black dress from then, and that was how I started liking fashion.
Wow, just like that.
Just like that.
She makes it sound so simple, so one day I just woke up and I drew something and boom.
When I was in school, I tried paper mache, and it looked like mess. It was just a pile of mush. It was paper mache more than anything else itself. But when did you take your love of arts and decide to make it an online, commerce platform itself?
This started in 2008, exactly in 2008. So I was saying earlier that I reconnected back with the arts, right? So I realized at that time there were no blogs, creative blogs in Malaysia. Everything was about food, about lifestyle, and fashion review blogs and blog shops were the big thing at that time, So I realized, okay, this is not going anywhere. Might as well I just do it. If I can't find one that is Malaysian, I'm just gonna do it. So I started one, and that was it. After that, I was a personal blogger at first, and then throughout the whole process and the whole journey. It wasn't until, I think, last year, middle last year, sorry, and I decided to go full throttle on it, full time. Yeah, I decided to take it to the next level.
You know, when you first started the blog itself, I mean, what was the biggest lessons you learned, you know, the hardships and the troubles you went through to get it established at first?
Networking, actually. Because, like it or not, we know that in society, you know, when it comes to branding, we believe those who are already popular or advertise or, you know, there's a big name out there. So when you start small, it's always very tough, you know, but that was the thing I learned most importantly is marketing, PR and networking, which is something my mom taught me as well because she was from that background. So I went out there and started to get to know everybody and stuff like that. Yeah, being an introvert, I had to do that.
Wow, but you know when you love something, you'll push yourself
Yeah, you go
to
ahead
do it.
and do it. Yeah, you do what it takes.
Brilliant. It's all about connecting the dots as well because everyone is all over the place. But you know, where do you draw your inspiration for your, you know, your art and your DIY methods?
I watch a lot of movies and I like music and I go online a lot on Pinterest. So I think that's where my influence comes from, you know, and I read a lot of books as well. And at the same time, I have this passion for fantasy, fairy tales and magic. So I think these are the little elements, you know. And at the same time, I'm very inspired by the artist Frida Kahlo. So that's where I also get my inspiration from. Yeah.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that because, you know, to be honest, I'm a big fan of anime and so on and so forth. And a lot of people think and look at it as, oh, it's kiddish and it's childish. But a lot of people do not understand the amount of art and creativity to go in, you know, goes into that. I mean, did you find that difficult at first to translate that and get your message across as well?
Yes, because you see, when I was throughout the whole process of trying to establish myself as an artist, right? I realized this among everybody is that they think that that art is just something like it's for kids, you know, arts and craft is for kids. And the other thing is that they feel that, you know, just because you started working, you should be more serious about it. But when I got in touch with art, right, I realized I started getting in touch with my inner child as well. And when you get in touch with your inner child, you see everything in a very beautiful way. You know, everything's new, everything's interesting. Yeah.
Wow, and you know,
Talking about, you know, people being successful as creative, George Lucas is pumping in 743 million into a little public little project of his we talked about a bit earlier.
Wow.
He's definitely in touch with his inner
A few
child.
shows ago, he's creating his own little platform for Star Wars.
Oh, wow.
That's insane.
Very cool indeed. No, there takes a lot of art, even science fiction, there's a lot of creativity and a lot of art behind it.
Exactly.
Now, creativity is, of course, you know, if you do it well and you do it long enough, you are rewarded. And you were nominated for the DG Wow Awards. How was that experience like?
I remember very clearly 1 year when I applied, a year before the nomination. When I was applying, I told my fiancé, I said that, okay, you know what, I'm going to do this. I don't know if it's going to work out, but I want to be like the next Martha Stewart / Oprah Winfrey. But I don't know if that will work. that was just really funny. And then, so I applied, and surprisingly, I got nominated, one of the top 10. I didn't win, but I think that put me on the map. And that was interesting actually because I learned we had to pitch to the people, to the judges, and it was interesting because that's when I learned what I lacked and what I had, you know, and what was special. And then I just focus on those things.
And it's also mingling with people from so many different backgrounds as well, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. I met all kinds of people. I met James Lee, you know, the indie director.
We've had James Lee on the show before
my
as
God,
well.
And Jay actually mentioned the word mingling. I mean, I'm going to drop two names, Royal Design and Craft Haven. I mean, these are the people you've collaborated with. I mean, could you tell us how that helped you just foremost elevate your own product and the things you learned from them as well?
Sure. I've known people from Craft Haven and Real Designs for quite some time. They being on their own special, they had their own specialty. Craft Haven being known in the art supply, you know, and Real Designs being known as one of the pioneers for bazaars. They're known for I Love Bazaar actually among the community. So when I got to know both of them and we talked, you know, and everything, then we realized we shared one thing in common, which was getting in touch and contributing to the rise of the local art scene right now. So then, and I realized that, okay, you know what, this is really good. It's a good opportunity for the Artsy Craftsy because then it has allowed us to expand in the areas of arts and craft event organizing, which is something I've always wanted to do.
And you know, you mentioned, because most of the art projects are DIY. But how important is collaboration? Because, you know, the bazaar wouldn't be possible if you did not collaborate. So how important is collaboration? It's
actually really, really important because, like speaking from my own experience, I couldn't have done it by myself, you know. So when you collaborate with two other people and you're stronger as a team, and you make things right, you know, because like I have my own uniqueness and specialty in my area, and Craft Haven has theirs as well, and Real Design as well. So when we came together and we collaborated and we put together our special skills, it made sense. Everything fall into place. Yeah, so that's actually pretty important, and a lot of artists and makers should see this as well. Yeah, because instead of seeing yourself as a competition, you shouldn't. You're creating variety for people.
Exactly.
So when you collaborate, you're stronger as a team.
You know, you play to all of your different strengths put together, and what you bring to the table is a whole different product altogether.
Do you think is that the biggest thing when it comes to promoting the art world itself? It is actually crossing these few hurdles where it is just letting people or telling them that just set your ego aside, let's work together and promote the world of the art itself.
Yeah, actually, they should do that, you know, and it's important when you do that, and that way, because you see, the community is all about sharing. Art is all about sharing. Art is love. I mean, you hear like John Lennon and everything, you know, when you sing. So you know, art is love. So when these people, when they gather and they start creating their work, right? It becomes different, you know. It's seen in a different light, you know.
And you know, something that definitely brings everyone together is a good old bazaar. You know, you've launched the Craft Affair. Could you tell us a bit more about this?
The Craft Affair is actually a collaboration with Craft Haven and Real Designs as well. So, it's actually a Malaysian curated platform. It's a craft and hobby weekend. So what we do is that we curate the vendors and we make sure that we provide a variety of workshops, and we have one more called Make and Take sessions, you know. So it's like a craft session for kids and families, you know, to come and encourage them to bond with activities. Instead of just walking in a shopping mall, why don't come and do something?
You know, it's also a fantastic place for anybody to gain exposure, isn't it?
Yes, that's right, yeah. We curated a lot of vendors, and I think that a lot of them have a really good experience networking. Some of them are actually pretty new in the scene, and it's good. You know, like I've met one artist, and she has never gotten in touch with the outside world yet. You know, she was very new at it. But when she attended the event, she participated in the event, she told me that she realized a lot of people has given her feedback, and she improved from there. You know. So it's really good because it gives people a chance to network and to practice their PR and marketing skills, you know. So when I tell a lot of crafters that come to me for advice, you know, and they ask me, they say, you know, any tips on joining the event and stuff like that. And I tell them, you know, it's very important to choose the right event. You know, the money that you're paying, it's not just about making back the sale, you know, it's about PR and marketing. So you're actually paying for PR and marketing. And,
you know, the problem most of the time is not, you know, the art is not of a certain quality. The quality is there. It's the marketing and all of the other things that play a role as well. And you mentioned the workshops a little earlier just now. And there are two, from what I read, there are two kinds of workshops, the Craftivity as well as the Make and Take. What's the difference between the two?
Craftivity is actually a brand. They're actually an art supply store. But when Craftivity participated, they're actually one of our good vendors. And when they participated, they did demos on like soap making, candle making, you know, stuff like that. And even though the visitors couldn't like practice or anything, they couldn't attend like the workshop, but the demo was good enough to spread the word, you know, and people were like gathering around them and watching them and watching how they do stuff and stuff like that.
And what's Make and Take exactly? Like, do you need to be trained in art or, you know, have a past experience with art for you to come into one of the Make and Take sections?
No, not really actually. I think arts and craft is so vast that there's, of course, there's the serious side and then there's the non-serious side. And I would say the serious side is that, you know, you want to go into it seriously, like
make a living out of it.
Correct, but the non-serious one is like for those who are looking for a balanced lifestyle with creativity. You know, they want to do something other than just going out or doing other stuff, you know, so they have a balance. So that when they come for the Make and Take session, Make and Take session is actually like, let's say for example, you pay a certain amount and then you can draw your own mark, stone painting, you know, shrink plastics, you know, whatever it is that they can do, And it's so cool because we actually saw parents sitting with their child and doing it together, you know.
Wow.
And that's really nice.
Family bonding time
correct,
as well.
Exactly,
After that, they can take the mug back home.
Yes, correct.
You know, you see that all over the shopping malls, you know, in any place for that fact, and you see all these people get together. So it just, I mean, the question for me is, like, say, for example, if it is yours, the craft affair itself, do you go about selecting people, or is there any thought process that goes into how people come in over and sign up for your thing?
We curate our vendors. So what they do is they will sign up, and then we will look through we will review their application, And when we look through, we look into branding and quality and quantity as well. Reason being is because we want to have a variety. We don't want to have too much of like jewelry making or too much of crochet or something like that, you know. So we want to have a variety. So that's why it's important for us to curate, you know, to look through and review the applications. Yeah.
You know, speaking of variety, a variety of skills is also needed when you're an artist. And not just in the subject of art itself, but you know, you mentioned earlier on branding. How important is branding to an artist?
It's very important. I mean, it's like if you look at other brands, you know, advertised brands at other companies and whatnot, look, just look at how they carry themselves. The brand image is so important. So even for an artist or a maker, even though if it's something simple as of a needle felt cotton, you know, or something like that, or a knitting brand or something like that, it's still very important because when you are a crafter and you are making something, you carry that image as well, you know. And if you want people to believe in your work, you got to believe in it, and by believing in it means creating a brand for it. Yeah, so it comes into, like, logo comes into picture, you know, colors.
Every little thing.
Yes, exactly. Run it like a proper company. Even though if it's a small business, run it like a proper company.
It's a representation of yourself, basically. You wanted to be the best.
Yes, and that's how people recognize you. When they look at your logo and they look at your work, they say, oh, I know, this is so-and-so's work, you know. Yeah, that's how it goes,
Wow.
So, Artsy Craftsy, 2016, it's just the first few months, of course. What's coming up and what can we expect?
Oh, a lot of interesting stuff. I was just thinking earlier, well, we just revamped our website. You know, so it's, right now, you can see it's like a brand new color and everything else, and brand new logo.
The branding game is sorted out.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's very important. So yeah, and when we put that into place, I would say that I'm hoping to be able to collaborate with more corporate brands. You know, like our most recent one was ASTRO International.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I'm also looking into working together with local handmade businesses. Yeah, so that we can help these small timers and small business to promote their brand as well. And at the same time, we are looking to creating content, more Malaysian stories. And the best one is, our most recent is, we want to expand further than just online. So we've brought to the community the Artsy Craftsy workshops.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're going to be featuring a lot of different artists and crafters by hosting the creative classes and workshops at our Artsy Craftsy studio.
Wow.
You look and sound like you're going to have your hands full.
Yes, definitely.
busy 2016 indeed. Well, the best of luck, Charlene. You know, it's sounding like it's going to be a good 2016 full of arts and crafts. And it's all about elevating the community as well.
I completely agree. Variety is the spice of life,
Variety
as they
is
say.
indeed
No idea where I
spice of
pulled that
life.
out from, but I'll tell you what I can pull out from tomorrow's show, The Future. Shankar Satyaram of EQTD Consulting is back on Vbuzz with his series, Good People, Better Leaders, to show us how we can all master the art of reviewing our actions, which we normally do after our show.
Yep, indeed. And if you're an avid online shopper, be sure to stay tuned as we talk about online shopping trends in Malaysia with the Chief Operating Officer of Ubeli Online Shopping Malaysia.
And on VHacks, we take a look at part 2 of our series on cyber security, by the way.
Indeed. And you know, guys, you know, if you want to let us know anything and everything, you know, just we feel secure whenever we hear all of your feedback and comments. vbuzz@astro.com.my is the address to send all of that good stuff to us. And on Instagram, you can follow us at vbuzz_HD.
Show us some love by double-clicking on the picture, right?
Indeed. Double tapping.
Double tapping, yes. I am old. And I have to go to sleep right now. My name is Roshan, by the way.
And I'm Jay Walia. Take care, good night, and bye-bye.